So I'm going to show you how to go from this really old clogged sediment system to this three-stage filtration system which will filter for sediment, carbon, and iron manganese. So before you get started, I would advise you to maybe get one of those water tasting kit. You can get those in any Lowe's or Home Depot store, and it will help you get an idea of what you might be suffering from in your water. There is my current system. So you can see here, that's the water coming directly from the well and pretty much feeding into a pressure valve and a pressure tank which pressurize the water into the line. So this is pretty much my main line feeding to the house. And then if you follow this, I mean, you can see that's the old just simple just sediment. And you can tell that it's probably not been changed for a while. So here is the system that we're going to install. It's a three-stage filter from iSpring. They sell it at Home Depot. You can get them off their website. So you can see what the main unit looks like. So I mean, it's fairly simple. You have the water coming out one end, and then it will eventually fill all those different filtering systems, and then go back out the other way. So if you can see here are the three different filters. So I believe that you have a sediment one, you have a carbon filter, and then the one that I'm really most interested in is really this iron and manganese, because as I mentioned, I think that iron is the culprit in my water system. So here is kind of the equipment that I got to make this work. So this was coming with the system. I mean, this is pretty much a 1 inch that will connect directly at both ends of the filtering system, and then a shock back attachment that was directly going to connect to a 3/4 of an inch pipe. Unfortunately, I cannot just simply use that and connect back to the old system just because of the size constraint of my little cabinet where the water filter is going to fit. So I'm going to have to work. That's why I got all those extra pieces, because I'm going to have to work some other type of system to make it work. You can actually see here, and I would advise you to do the same, is take your measurement and make sure that you figure out a plan before trying to put it together. And you'll see in my case, I'm going to have to pretty much go with elbows right on each side because I'm limited by this dimension here. That's really what my limit is. And once I get past that, then again, I will be able to use those that I was just showing you, those valves. I will have one here, and then I'll put one here. And then again, I'll have to elbow back, and then eventually connect to the copper pipe, which is somewhere along this location. So I would advise you to really take some time and figure out what your plan is. Again, I mean, if you have all the room in the world, then it's going to be as simple as just using those on both sides and connecting it to your existing water line, and you're done. But if you have a smaller water cabinet, you might have to come up with something a little more complex. And I would mention that I also decided to get one of those pressure gauge that I will install here on the end of this this is my in, this is my out, and so I'll install my gauge here because I really want to make sure that I don't really have any significant pressure loss going through those filters. Alright, so before getting started, I don't know what kind of system you'll have. You'll see here, this is actually my boiler system, and so I don't want any of this to start kicking in when I'm working on modifying my filtering system. So I turn off everything pretty much. Well, I set my my thermostat to the lowest so this thing won't kick in, and I went ahead and pretty much kill the pumping system. And actually this is the pumping system from the boiler system, and this is the pump that actually that's at the bottom of my well. So I don't want any of that kicking in, so I shut all that stuff off, lowered my thermostat, and hopefully that'll be sufficient to make sure that nothing kicks in. Alright, so the first step here is going to be to shut the water off. So this is my main here. As I said before, slowly shut this off. There we go, a full 90 degrees from the pipe. The next step now is really to empty the system, and I'm gonna get the system running, and here we go. And I'm gonna leave it open actually because I don't want any pressure buildup. Okay, here's another one. There we go. Open this up. Alright, so now our water should be shut off. I'm gonna take a bucket because I'm probably gonna have still some water coming from those pipes. So I'm lucky they left me this, which should be what I use to like remove the sediment filter. So let's you can get an idea of the situation. Look at this. So, I mean, the previous homeowner, we just got this house, so I'm guessing the previous homeowner, they were not changing their filtering system. Alright, so let's try this pipe cutter thing. There we go. Wow, that was pretty good. Look at this. I did a really nice clean cut. There we go. Remove the old system. So this is a good thing done. So yeah, I would really advise you to get one of those little thing. Probably got it for like, I don't know, $10 at I think that was Lowe's. So I'm really thinking something like this. Alright. So I marked on the central stud where the top of the system is going to go. And then, as I was mentioning, I'm going to build up a support system because you see that you only have two holes. You only have two holes to support the system, and obviously that's gonna fall in between studs. So I have absolutely no support. So I'm gonna build little headers with jack studs to properly support this thing. All right. So I measured that. This is 4 inches. So that's what I'll use to accurately locate. So that's my mark. So 4 inches. There we go. So that's pretty much where that support will go. So I'm probably gonna remove this because that's gonna be in the way. And then yeah, we're gonna start building a support system for it. So here's the idea. As I was mentioning, I'm gonna need, probably it's gonna get screwed in at this location in between the studs and somewhere here in between the stud. So my goal is that I'm gonna build a header in between those two studs with 2x6. So I'm gonna cut that to fit in there, and I'm gonna have 2 plies because 1 ply is 1.5 inch, and I'll be able to fit 2 ply in there, and that will give me my support. And then I will put another 2x4 right below it because I want to be able to properly support that 2x6 header. I don't want to just screw it in on the side of the stud. I would rather have like jack studs, which is what it's called, that will go all the way back down to the bottom plate of the wall, and that will be really rock steady. It's a foot. So it's a foot. Safety glasses on, earplugs. So again, we're just that's what we're gonna use for our headers. So I'm just gonna mark it up. So that's 12 inches. We're cutting another one the same. We'll just use that as all right. So here's our header. Okay, the next step is to measure the height of the jack stud in 2x4. So that's gonna be pretty easy. There we go. So as we said, I have my marks. I want the header to be pretty much exactly in between those marks that I did earlier. Okay, so that's where my header is gonna go. So I just need to measure what lengths do I need all the way to my bottom plate. 4 foot 4. It should be the same. Yeah, so 4 foot 4 is my measurement. 4 foot 4. here it is. Alright, so we're ready to attach our jack studs. I just got those kinds, so I just got 3 inches deck screws. I don't know, that will work. Pretty much you just, I will pretty much get them on the side to go through each jack stud and the central stud, and that'll be more than enough to hold them in place. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And they're self-drilling screws. You can tell it by, if you look at the end, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, you'll see that there is like, it's notched, and so that pretty much tells you that this is a self-drilling screw and you don't have to pre-drill any of this. So here's where I want those studs to be. Well, let's remove this guy. Let's remove this guy first. So they have an old, you can see they have an old piece of blocking here. I mean, it's full of old nails, and I'm kind of lazy to try and take it out one at a time, so I'm just gonna use this and sawzall at the back of it with a metal and see if I can just pretty much cut out those nails directly, make it easier. Wow, that was so easy. Same on the other side. Look at this. Took like 10 seconds. Wow, that was pretty cool. Alright, so now we're ready to install studs. Everything is cleared out. So pretty much I want one here. And I'm going to want one on this side. So I definitely advise you using an impact driver for this kind of a application. Alright, that's good enough. We're not going to waste any of those for no reason. So to make sure that those all together, I'm gonna nail them together. In this case, I'm just using 2.5 inch common nails. 2 plies of 2x will be 3 inches, so that will be plenty to connect them together. So that's it. It's a little header. Alright, so we've secured one of the headers. I'm just going to screw it in place from this side. Alright, so this is not going anywhere. Let's do the same thing with the other one. So similarly, we're just going to connect the second header in place. So, I mean, similar to what I just did. Okay, that's done. Okay, so similarly, we're gonna put this in place. And now we're gonna have to screw it at an angle because we don't have any access. So I'm probably gonna try and put one like this. All right, making progress. Alright, so you can see here that we're done installing the support system for this new filtering system. So as I was mentioning to you, I have jack studs on each side which will pretty much support those 2x6 headers. I got everything fastened, and pretty much those 2x6 is what I'm going to connect the support system for the filtering system to. So hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so back with my little tool and just looking to, so here's my 16-inch mark. There we go. That's it. There's my piece of pipe. Don't need that anymore. Okay, so I was showing earlier, I'm just dry fitting it to kind of see how it's going to fit. So again, I'm going to have an elbow going down on one side and an elbow going up on the other side. Okay, so it fits. In my case though, I have this piece of I have so little room that actually this one is gonna show up right here before this. I measured that the dome was closing here, so it will go up. But I'm gonna have to probably add another ply here to make sure that it's gonna pretty much be able to go over this, which I didn't realize. Here, another piece, and well, that's not what I was intending on doing, but I'll just cut it and then I'll just screw a lot of it, and then eventually pretty much it will be supported by those guys, and so any weight will go back down to those studs. So similarly, but hopefully in your case you don't have to do any of that, but yeah, I don't have a choice. Okay, so I need 28 1/4 to add another ply on top of it and go from there. So I'm gonna put one in here. So kind of want it somehow. Alright, so some of you might think this is probably a little overkill, but you'll see the system is pretty heavy and I don't want to have to worry about it. I'm spending all this time putting it together. I don't want any chance that this thing would just, fall off at some point. So there we go. The system will go like this. So you'll see that this is going to be a little bit out of the way. I might find a way to attach the pipe somehow. We'll figure it out later, but that's kind of what it's going to look like. And thankfully you can see that it's going to fit on both ends, which is really good news. Alright, so now that we have the base, I'm going to go ahead and install both of those 1-inch screw-in on each side. So obviously you want to make sure that everything is clean of debris or anything, and that make sure that your thread looks good, that there's nothing wrong with it. And then you're pretty much going to go ahead and use some Teflon tape. So remember that we're going to screw this way, and so you want to apply your Teflon tape in the same logical manner. So pretty much we want to roll it this way so that when it screws in, it just it just bites the right way. Go. Sure, cover all this thread, and that will give you a really solid connection, because all those lines are going to be pressurized, so really want to make sure that we have something solid. Alright, so now we're ready to install it. Make sure help you match the thread. I'm just going to tighten now. See, really give it a little more. Alright, so I'm going to let it sit, make sure that it stays tight before we start putting all the rest, because if I need to tighten it in a few minutes, I want to be able to do it now before I put the elbow in. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that for now. We'll let it sit and see if it stays tight, and if needed we'll just tighten it a little more. And so then what we'll do is that we'll just connect this piece, connect this elbow, this one will go down, the one on the other side will go up, and then we'll be good to go. Then I'll secure this to the header, and we'll do we'll have this one, we'll have another piece down, and this will connect to this guy, and this will connect to copper pipe. And then on the upper part, it's gonna be a little more challenging because we're gonna go up, and then we have to transition. Pretty much to 3/4 inch. And then I also have, as I was mentioning earlier, I'm looking to install this pressure gauge, so it's gonna be a little more challenging on the top. But it's just pretty much a game of Lego at this point. So before we start actually putting stuff together and glue it, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna have to connect those together. So similarly, so this is a 1-inch diameter screw, and then this is also just a 1-inch to connect the pipe with the glue.
So let me see. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at doing. And so again, we're just gonna do the same thing I was did earlier, where you know this is going this way, and so that's how I want my tape to go, in the same direction. Screw that piece with that one. Really want to make sure that it's nice and tight, that we will not have any sorts of leak. I'm gonna do the same thing for this one. Alright, that is pretty tight for now. So again, we're gonna leave it, and I'll go back to it and see if I have to tighten it a little more later on. I let it sit for a little bit, and I went back and tightened it some more, because I really want to make sure that this was not going anywhere, especially when I start putting everything together. Alright, so as you can see, I got it as tight as I could, and you can pretty much put it almost completely up and butting against. I really think now that it's really not going to go anywhere. So again, we're back at putting this together. So I am putting directly this little piece of 1-inch pipe directly connected to this 1-inch elbow. So we're gonna go ahead and connect that together. So remember, you just making a mess here, but you just pretty much prime the inside of it, and then I'm gonna prime all this, and I'm gonna prime it all because I'm gonna go ahead and connect. And then you have the glue. It smells really strong. Put it inside, and then also here. And then you can go ahead and what is this? Put this together. It's kind of not going in, so there we go. And then I can go right away and put this guy inside, outside, and then there we go. That's what we want to see. There we go. So I want it really going straight down like that. So I'm kind of holding it. You want to, usually it will kind of push back, but this one seems pretty well in place. So yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. So I'm just going to do the same thing over here, so you can't really probably see, but I am doing exactly the same thing. We're pretty good. We have the main piece. I have my elbows on both sides, so I am ready, I think, to start putting it on the wall now. And mark up. I don't want it too close. Yeah, I'm pretty level, so yeah, I think that's gonna be acceptable. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and start drilling some holes. So I wasn't too sure exactly I was gonna go ahead and fasten this thing, because they're not giving you anything. So kind of have two options here. Either using I think a 2.5 inch long lag bolt, which I think this is the option I'm gonna take. I had gotten those guys, but they seem a little small. So yeah, I'm not gonna use those. And I got also I got some washers. So I think that's what I'll do, is use those big ones. And as you have seen, there's only 2 holes on this support, and I was thinking probably of adding a third one to really make sure that this thing is not going anywhere. So we're gonna go ahead and start drilling some hole for those screws to be installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and pre-drill the holes to install my lag bolts. So keeping in mind that lag bolts are not self-drilling, so you definitely need to pre-drill them. Otherwise, you're just gonna split the wood pretty badly. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the lag bolt. So again, your best bet is an impact driver with a special socket that will fit your lag bolt. I mean, that'll make it a lot much easier than trying to do it any other way. Probably we need about 2 people at this point. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna probably add one right here at the stud. Alright, that looks good. And that one is fully in the stud, so that will be a good way of making it sure it's secure. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so here's a close-up. So now we pretty much have the system installed and secured with the 3 lag bolts going directly into this first ply and then going into the headers that I added and supported with the jack studs. And now at this point I just have my elbows going back on this side and this one going back down on this side. So now at this point the thing left to do is to really kind of connect this somehow, and then same, do the final connection back here. So I mean, I think we've done the most challenging part at this point. It's really just now about measuring and then putting the pipe together. Alright, so shock bite connection. Okay, so I think we got it. Alright, so now we're really trying to make the final connection. You can see I have my elbow here. I have this piece that's connecting to this, and the shock bite connecting to the 3/4 of an inch. So I'm really trying to make this final connection. So I've cut my piece here. So now it's just a matter of like pretty much doing the gluing. There we go. Goes right in. Kind of hold it for a second so that it doesn't push out. Well, that looks pretty good. Now that we're done with this side, I'm gonna start working on this one, and so pretty much I'm gonna I'm gonna connect my piece with my shut-off valve. So that's it, putting it together. Oh, that looks really good. So we're just gonna let this dry. So now remember, this piece is going from 1 inch to 3/4. So I have some 3/4 CPVC pipe, and so from now on we're pretty much switching to 3/4. So I'm gonna have 3/4 here, I'm gonna have an elbow, and then we'll have some straight. We'll have the gauge, we'll have straight, and then here I'll use a shock bite elbow connector so that I can connect my CPVC 3/4 to my copper 3/4. So let me go ahead and cut a little piece here. Doesn't really matter, I'm just gonna eyeball it. So same, using this tool again. There we go. That's it, simple as that. And so now, yes, so this one we're gonna connect it to the shock bite. So I'm gonna use this shock bite tool to just prep it. I don't know really how good it does, but pretty much just cuts a notch at the top. So probably it helps. Now I'm ready to connect this little piece to this shock bite. So you'll see there's like a little piece here of plastic inside. So you just have to be careful that it's pretty much centered. Otherwise it's kind of like gonna get in the way of putting this connection together. I think that's it. There we go. That's it. It's stuck in. Won't go anywhere. So now I'm ready to connect an elbow to it. So I got this, then you'll need to start to switch to 3/4. There you go. So that's actually pretty useful. The shock bite pretty much lets you rotate it, so this is actually really useful. And I'll probably just end up blocking it somewhere here to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. I just cut a little piece here. So again, we're gonna go this way. Then I'm gonna add my gauge here, and then we'll just finish up. So we're really getting close, which is great. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this one real quick. Alright, nice. Went right in. So here it is. Just hold it for a second. Now we're gonna add the gauge. So again, that's gonna be easy because it's just a shock bite. So you can see that there is the plastic pieces that go inside. Again, we're gonna quickly prep. So now I'm using 3/4. So here's our pressure valve. And so that's where the connection is going to happen, but it's going to have to include the depths that I need for my shock bite and do the connection. So I'm probably going to have to add whatever is the depths. So I don't know if this thing is really accurate, but they're saying yeah, pretty much 1 inch. 1 inch is the shock bite depth. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another inch, and that's where I'm going to cut it. I'm trying to not put any much pressure on the top, so I'm just going to hold it here. I really don't want to put extra pressure on the other older connection. Wow, that was easy. Here we go. Prep 3/4 inch. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and install. The good thing with the shock bite is that you can always remove them if it didn't work. There we go. So that one's in. Now I just have to really bridge this gap, which I hope is gonna work out. So we're pretty much at 6 inches. Plus 2 shock bite connections, so 6. You could argue that 8 inches is what I need. Right. Prep those two. I think it's not going anywhere. And then the final. Alright, so not really straight, but thankfully I have a little give here. About to start installing pretty much every single filter. So I do believe that there is a logic behind it. So I think that the sediment filter is what goes first, then the carbon, and then the iron. So just go ahead and remove the plastic of all those. Put it back in here. Then here's the carbon filter. Make sure to remove this at the bottom. Alright, it's pretty tight to me. Alright, so yeah, I don't know if that's going to close. We'll add something to hold this together. But first, moment of truth, turning the water back on. So let me go back and close all the faucets around the house, and then we'll get able to try it. So go back around the house and make sure that you close all your faucets now. Time to turn that water back on. Okay. Ha! Okay.
this is gonna work a lot better than this old system that we removed. I mean, look how bad this was. Completely full of, I don't know, sediment and whatnot, and only just, you know, one filter, small size. This will last a lot longer and really, you know, clean the water much better. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that was helpful for you. I know that everyone's gonna have a different kind of a system on the way that, you know, maybe this water cabinet is gonna be set up, but hopefully that video will help you out realize that it's actually not that hard to do, and it only took me maybe half a day to get this all done, and I don't have a lot of experience doing things like that. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video.